Okay, so I think it's 11 a.m. and we're going to get going here. Welcome, everyone. I'm Josh Vanek. I'm the Associate Director with Montana Campus Compact.
And I'm Jessie Lee. I'm helping out with site recruitment and development for a couple of months at Campus Compact.
Yeah, so thanks for making some time for us. Say again? Well, maybe I heard. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Summer Associates today, and we'll have time for kind of questions as we go along. Please either use the chat feature or just unmute yourself, and we'll make time for kind of clarifying, or if we're skipping too fast over some feature of this, just let us know and we will take a pause. We're going to move pretty quickly. We have 27 slides to get through, so if it seems like we need to kind of pause on something, or if you've got questions, please do not hesitate at all to ask.
Can you pull up the chat?
Yes, I will open up the chat so we're making sure that we see that. Chat. There we go.
So if you have questions and you want to type them up, we'll be paying attention to that, so feel free to interject if you don't want to speak.
Definitely. Or if you don't have audio capability on your machine, we will be checking in with the chat frequently. So here is our contact information. We both are very available to answer questions as you are putting together an application, or if you have one already submitted that you need back, or things of that nature. Emails and direct phone lines there, and they're on our website as well. If you are on here and you can unmute yourself, we'd like to just do a quick kind of round robin of who we have. So your name, the organization you're with, and then if you've hosted a VISTA or a VISTA Summer Associate in the past. Who would like to start up?
Hey everybody, my name is Birkin Nagden, and I'm the Executive Director at the Center for Restorative Youth Justice. We have never hosted a VISTA or AmeriCorps position here, but we're excited to explore it.
Yeah, thank you, Birkin.
Hi, I'm Carmen Clark from the Bozeman Public Library. We've never hosted a summer VISTA volunteer either.
But you're currently hosting a full-time, full-year person, correct?
That is correct.
Great. Thank you, Carmen. Anybody else able to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Janice Driver from River City Harvest in Great Falls, Montana. We've never hosted a VISTA volunteer, but we're now doing a partnership with Sunburst, and they've hosted several.
They have indeed, and I see Mike is on here too. Thanks, Janice.
Jamie, do you have the ability to unmute yourself?
She may be multitasking. Oh, geez. And we have Jamie from the Missoula Food Bank and Community Center, and Mike Dalton from Sunburst Unlimited, and the successful Gardens from Garbage program that they have done for many years with the support of Summer Associates in Great Falls, Montana. And Kim, who are you with?
What was the last few numbers? Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we've also got Jamie Breedenbach and Margaret Cobb with Missoula Food Bank and Community Center, and they have hosted both summer and year-long VISTAs. Okay, thanks everybody. We are excited to have you here and to be set you up with some great summer help. Anybody else who we didn't hear from? Well, we'll move along. Okay, so the objectives for our conversation today, make sure that you've got an understanding by the time we're done here, an understanding of what Campus Compact and the Summer Associate Program is all about. We'll talk about the terms, conditions, and benefits for summer associates. We'll talk about the application and our timeline, and how we do candidate recruitment, and your role as host sites in sort of the jargony world of national service. You may think of yourselves as nonprofits or educational organizations or schools, universities. But you're hosting a summer associate, and so we talk about the role of a host site as well. Any other objectives that we should be thinking about as we move along? Oh, Kim introduces herself. She's with Get Fit Great Falls and United Way of Cascade County. Welcome, Kim. Okay, so Campus Compact, where Jesse and I work, is a statewide coalition of higher ed institutions, so colleges and universities, 2-year, 4-year, tribal, private, flagship, Montana University System, community colleges, that kind of get together under the banner of we want to partner with community, provide high quality service experiences for students, and support the public good via higher education. So that's what we do on a daily basis, supporting these 18 institutions around Montana as they partner with you all, often in the nonprofit sector, but in K-12 and government as well. VISTA is a program that we run, federal in nature, part of the original War on Poverty, a 50-year-old plus program that came about under the Johnson administration, Volunteers in Service to America. It now falls under the AmeriCorps kind of family of programs and is administered by the Corporation for National and Community Service. But we are grantees. We administer a VISTA grant and place upwards of 70 both full-time, full-year, and summer associate VISTAs around Montana annually. And we do it with the great support of partners like you. So it's an anti-poverty program. That's the big goal. Unlike the full-time, full-year placements, and we'll probably talk a little bit about this, summer associate placements can be oriented to direct service in support of this anti-poverty mission of VISTA, whereas your full-time, full-year people really should be doing capacity building work rather than direct client support. The Summer Associate Program is a part of VISTA and a relatively new one, actually, and we've had some great success with it over the past years, supporting things like summer nutrition programs, summer camps,
Slow going here.
and rec sorts of things, boys and girls clubs, garden and food programs like they do in Great Falls.
I can let you know.
That you all have hosted summer associates for over the years.
Yeah.
So our opportunities here are we make host site applications available for the 19 to 20 class of full-time, full-year people, and our priority application deadline February 4th. So this coming Monday. If you've heard February 1st from us, that may be a little bit of dissonance, but we're dawned on us that we could give folks that weekend, and that might be helpful. And those are all located at the VISTA homepage on the Compact website. And then the VISTA is the capacity building anti-poverty wing of national service that we offer. We also host a great AmeriCorps program, and I know Margaret Cobb is an alum, served as an AmeriCorps leader with us a handful of years ago. The focus is college access and success, so anything that kind of removes barriers for first income and low income Montanans getting into and being successful in post-secondary education. And that looks a lot of ways in different communities, everything from hunger and nutrition needs to direct kind of academic support, financial literacy, scholarships, social, emotional sorts of support as well. So we both have leader positions and student member positions, kind of team member positions that we make available as well. So the priorities for the VISTA Summer Associate program, which is really what we're spending our time talking about, are these. So it's a program that add or support summer meal sites, so those that are specifically associated with kind of the USDA's summer meal program, which I think steps in when the school year ends, and formerly was the school breakfast and school lunch program. This becomes kind of the stopgap for folks who are food insecure in the summer. So that's a big priority, as are educational programs that build capacity or directly support students continuing to be enrolled and be successful in grades K through 12. So academic enrichment stuff, things that keep kind of students' educational careers front and center during those tough summer months when we know lots of that quickly leaves their heads. So that can be STEM projects, anything that even has a fun and somewhat less heavy academic focus that prevents summer learning loss is a big part of what we're after to support.
So Jamie is wondering if we know that if No Kid Hungry will help pay for summer VISTA positions. Clinton School is trying to figure out how to offer summer meals in Clinton. I don't know the answer to that, Jamie. We can follow up with you on that.
In the past, they've made a grant available that was, I think, for very close to what the match amount for the Summer Associate VISTA placement is. So it's a direct application to No Kid Hungry, or it was in 2018, a direct application to No Kid Hungry that you could say, look, we need some match money to get a VISTA to help with summer nutrition. I have not yet seen that come across my email, but they did have that available last year. So anybody know if that is something that No Kid Hungry is offering, or if you've seen that yet? A good question, and one that I don't know absolutely the answer to, but there's some precedent for it, and we hope that they make it available. So some of the other priorities of the Summer Associate Program: any programming that builds capacity for students grades 9 through 12 working toward a high school equivalency, I think is what we're calling these, and not GEDs now. We have some old stuff in our presentation here, and things that prepare students for post-secondary education and careers. Programming that supports or engages veterans and military families. Programming that creates or expands existing opioid programs. Things that treat misuse, addiction, and recovery, and that target low-income communities. These are some of the things we have seen come out of the Trump administration as priorities. So, in the national service world, we are always looking to kind of navigate the varying political landscape, and are especially interested in, where there are authentic needs in communities. We've heard from many that opioid addiction is not as big an issue as some other addiction problems we have in our state, but certainly not every community is the same. And if you're working at doing any opioid work, that would be great to plug in with a summer associate. So some of the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts here. These are 10-week terms where folks come on either in late May or June, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And typically they're for college students or soon to become students, folks who are at least 18, so they can be high school seniors recently having graduated, folks that you think have the kind of capacity to do the work you need. It's available to college campuses, schools, nonprofits, community-based organizations, government, need to be nonprofit. The goal is to help alleviate poverty. VISTA members take the same oath of service that the president and members of Congress do, so they agree to serve full-time. So if something is happening on a weekend, we make it very clear as we're onboarding folks that, while typically this is a kind of Monday through Friday deal, they need to make themselves available if a site has needs on a Saturday or a community has needs on a Saturday or Sunday. Clearly, people need their rest and sleep, but it's national service, and we expect the VISTAs who are in the positions to take that charge seriously. Unlike kind of those full-time placements, VISTA Summer Associates can definitely do direct service. So if you do have capacity building needs and they fit in well with a 10-week term, that's great. But what we generally see is that these are folks that are helping more with those direct service programming areas that folks do over the summer, whether running camps or programs for youth in a community often is what folks are doing. We talked about the program priorities, all the education, veterans, summer nutrition, etc. And then the terms begin either in late May or early June and run through mid-August. The cost that we require for a placement is $850 per member. And what that gets is, so part of the deal with us running an AmeriCorps VISTA grant is that we need to leverage what is called cost share for a good number of our placements annually. And we work with our partners to get a portion of that cost share across the whole state so that we're able to cover a part of the payroll from that pool. So we put the dollars that you invest in us directly to work back in support of the program and its administration. If you are a community that is just like, look, we don't have the resources, but we definitely have the needs, let us know and we may be able to work with you. But the reason we do charge that is because we have direct financial outlays that we do as an organization, and these help us to run the program well and to support all the members in service. So we do payroll centrally and issue the member living allowances every 2 weeks. We're hosted by the University of Montana here, and use their payroll services for the members that are spread statewide. So we'll make sure they get paid. So our funder has put to us a couple of options, and we just wanted to kind of get your input here on what makes more sense for you as an organization. So we've heard that there's the possibility of either starting people for a 10-week term of service on the 20th of May or on June the 3rd. And we kind of wanted to do a quick straw poll of which of those two dates is more attractive to you. Anybody got a sense of that? Got some June 3rds coming through the chat, it looks like. That was kind of my sense going in, but Kim says after school gets out, that's probably June as well. Okay, we're heavily on June. Good to know. We will probably work directly with the June date.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So the recruitment protocol that we kind of operate from with the Summer Associate program is this. We have prioritized kind of really focusing this locally as much as possible, so that since you are there in the communities and we are an office of, based in Missoula, that you reach out and talk to your local campus and figure out, okay, how do we kind of recruit somebody strong locally? We have some bandwidth issues and also do our full-time, full-year recruitment cycle parallel to our summer associates. And we had some excellent luck rolling this out last year, and really appreciated the work that you all put in. If this is your second time, or if you've done this in the past, getting candidates to apply for your summer associate positions locally. So that's the long and short of it. In the event that you're just sort of really struggling, you've made an effort and are just not coming up with anyone, we want people to be successful, and we expect that you'll let us know, and we may be able to support it in some way. But our strong kind of preference is that this happens best when site supervisors are invested in it and spend some time working with their local campus partners or looking at existing volunteers for the organization and developing a pool of potential candidates that way.
Yeah, if you have an intern or somebody who's already involved in the organization, or like in Burkett's case, if you have somebody who's graduated from your program, again, that you think would be somebody to give a good opportunity to, certainly utilize those resources.
So questions on kind of how we go about recruiting? So the side of recruitment that we will take on is we will post all of the positions statewide on our website. We'll do blogs about them and social media. We'll pass these out to our network of campuses and our advisory committee, who are made up directly of folks at our institution, so they're aware of it and are posting them locally. But we really think that individual kind of connection and, you know, perhaps presenting it in a classroom or two at a institution or high school is a good way to do it and to get good local candidates for your positions. Because of our hosting with the University of Montana, we have some unique opportunities here, and we'll run it through both job and volunteer websites and make flyers available. We also will share recruitment materials with you all, so you kind of have your talking points in order about what the positions are about, and have some nice collateral for hanging a flyer. But I do think that direct outreach and kind of work with both local colleges and high schools is a great way to get it done. So what we look for from our partners is that you use the campus partner as kind of heavy lean on where your summer associate VISTA is going to be recruited. That you use job and volunteer sites with the local campus, flyers, and do that in-person outreach. That really is the thing that in the past has led to the most the best, I think, outcomes for recruitment. The most folks that have come from that sitting down with somebody at the campus and saying, you know, we're looking to get somebody to commit to a 10-week paid summer associate VISTA position. How do I best go about that? Also, we've talked about digging into your existing volunteer pool. Oftentimes folks think of VISTA as someone who comes in from outside, and that in the case of summer associates, that sometimes happens, but really what we're seeing better luck at is looking within our communities and figuring out how do we make sure we get these opportunities in front of folks who are already here. And of course, using social media to advertise is clearly a important thing. So the basic eligibility criteria for these positions, folks need to be at least 18 years old, They also need to meet your basic needs in terms of maturity, carry themselves, or be willing to learn and grow pretty quickly, because a 10-week term is not that. They can't be listed on the National Sex Offender Public Registry, which is to say they can't be sex offenders. Of course, nepotism is prohibited. So if you've got sort of family or close friends, I think you'd need a different supervisor who is providing the direct supervision for anybody who fits that nature. We do realize there's only 1 million of us in Montana, and this can come up. So if you've got somebody who is related, who is interested, you'll just need to set up a different supervisor than yourself. They need to serve on a full-time basis during that 10-week project period. So they need to make a commitment to being there and being there full-time. Folks can't have current employment with the University of Montana because that's where we run payroll through. That puts us out of compliance with the federal grant. So that's a big no-no. And these folks must apply to the project's listing via the AmeriCorps, the National AmeriCorps website. We need to assign them kind of behind the scenes to make sure that they get their AmeriCorps Education Award and that they're all kind of squared away. So even if you've searched someone out, walked through all of the details of the position, they're a great fit, they will need to get in and directly apply in that AmeriCorps system. And we'll support all of that kind of in terms of onboarding and kind of walking through people getting their applications submitted. That requires 2 professional references. Folks other than can't be family members, needs to be someone either from an education background, professor, teacher, clergy, or preferably job or volunteer supervisor. So here are the steps in terms of recruiting. We really encourage that this start locally and that you kind of think about who do we have perhaps right under our nose who is great and here already, and perhaps this could be a step up in their commitment and some additional kind of reward in terms of the living allowance and education award that they receive for their service. So that kind of intentional brainstorm locally, I think, is a great place to start. And if they're not a direct volunteer already, think about who your kind of network covers and who board members kind of know that maybe would make great candidates for this. We find often that some of the most desirable individuals start early at kind of thinking about how they're going to spend their summer. The folks that maybe are the most kind of organized and mature will be on this quickly. So you can very much do this simultaneously as you're thinking about your application, kind of starting to spread the word and saying, we're planning to have a great 10-week position paid with the organization, and we'd like help coming up with a strong applicant pool. Step 2 is that we will approve host site applications after we get them in and have conversations with you. That gets us official. Host sites, so partners and the Campus Compact office will direct these folks to apply directly to those positions. So this may be a formality if you've conducted an interview already, or it may just be how you want to run it. You want to make sure that these folks get that you have to have applied in the AmeriCorps thing and work with the Compact staff. That's your discretion there locally, but the upshot is that everybody has to have applied directly via the My AmeriCorps website. Step 4 is that you all conduct those candidate interviews and select and let us know who you got. So that's, I think we're all familiar with how that goes down. Come up with a set of questions and figure out who meets your needs and make an offer. After you've done that and you've got your candidate selected, let us know. We'll then confirm that their eligibility and be in touch with the candidate to make sure that they get all of the detail of what it means to be a summer associate VISTA, from the pay to the education award at the end of service, to the unique terms of the 24/7 requirement of national service and so forth. We like to cover that with everybody and just make sure that there are no surprises for folks. Oftentimes we're reiterating what you may already have said, but we like to cover our bases because it is a unique situation that is not like most typical employment. So it's 5 easy steps, soup to nuts, to get somebody on board. Questions at this point, or should we keep on moving? All right, keep moving. So we refer to these kind of cohorts of new AmeriCorps VISTA members as classes. So the one that's going to begin in 2019 means that we will, it's more than likely that we will have more demand for positions than we have availability to fill. We expect that we'll have in the neighborhood of 50 or so positions that we can award. And so there will be some competition here, I guess, is the point that that we need to make. We look for folks who really take this local recruitment piece as seriously as possible. We don't want it to be an onerous thing, but we really need to be honest about what we have the ability to do and do well. So we share the love here and ask that you all kind of think about who could we get that would be great at this, basically. So the sooner you get somebody in and committed, the sooner you got one of these kind of limited slots. So there is some competition in this. We use the method of kind of over awarding, where if you've got a good project, more than likely, and it meets kind of the base criteria that we set out, you more than likely will get the thumbs up. And then after that, it's a bit of a race to filling our limited slots. So just be aware that that is in play and that there is something of a kind of a healthy competition in this, and we look for you all to kind of dive in as much as you can on that ever important recruitment side of this. So campus community partnerships, Campus Compact is a network of higher ed institutions. Here they are, and this is kind of the critical part of what makes us unique as an organization. We hope that you work with the campus that is either in your community or most local to you, or that makes sense, so that there is some sort of a connection with one of our affiliate institutions somehow. And I think the best way is for member recruitment, but it certainly can be more than that if there's more to kind of the needs that you've got as an organization. So some of the benefits of this, long-term, these partnerships can support service learning opportunities for classes of students, as well as research opportunities for faculty and students as well. Clearly in the summertime, not as much goes on with most colleges around the state, but we encourage you to think longer term than simply the summer, and we really depend on our nonprofit partners to kind of help us continually challenge these institutions and bring up what local community needs are to folks at these institutions, so they're hearing routinely from you that here are some things that we're working on and ways that you can support us. Another benefit is leveraging resources to assist community problem solving, all of the things that higher education has, from potential student volunteers, service learners, faculty, expertise, research, physical space, etc. We hope that those resources are supporting your important work in the community. Developing tools to improve the organization's impact in the community. We oftentimes have heard this critique of higher ed that, you know, all this great knowledge gets created and it sits on shelves, and we really want to sort of break down any of those barriers and say, look, let's connect folks who are studying real community needs and problems in Montana with the folks who are on the front lines of addressing them. So a lot of these things just happen from that one-on-one contact with campuses, and we can help make referrals, but we also encourage you to reach out to these colleges and then navigate until you find somebody who is going to be a good partner. And of course, participating in the national kind of movement to really renew the core purpose of higher ed, which is this idea that, you know, this is about the public good. Higher education exists because we need engaged professionals. We need people who are teachers and care about community. We need people who are business people and care about community. This is why higher education was created. Some of the examples, Sunburst Unlimited always stands out as one of the most exciting summer associate projects that we see annually. And the Gardens from Garbage program is always a hit, I think, with the summer associates that serve with it and the this is a program that teaches youth how to grow a vegetable garden and turn it into healthy meals. They also helped create new menus for folks who participated in the Boys and Girls Club summer program as well. Missoula Public Library also launched the Stop Summer Slide project, where the summer associate recruited volunteers and participants for the maker space at the library, and got folks to lead STEAM camp activities and kind of keep young people in Missoula engaged in fun things that kept their brains active during the long summer, where so much of that information that they're carrying from school has a way of leaking out of their brains. So those are a couple examples of cool projects we've seen. Questions or any, feel free to pop things into the chat or unmute yourselves if I'm just going too quickly. So some of the benefits, the gross pay for this 10-week term of service for these VISTA members is $2,239. That's the pre-tax amount. It is subject to tax, and typically if it's, you know, if folks are not earning a lot of money, not much tax will be taken out, but that is the pre-tax amount. That's the gross amount. Members are also eligible, so these are the post-service benefits. They need to have completed successfully for you, with you, their service. A $1,230 AmeriCorps Education Award, and that thing's a voucher that AmeriCorps and VISTA members are eligible for once they've successfully completed. Or they can get a cash award of just under $300. So some folks have their college handled, or they don't have the immediate need for the larger education award, and there is the option of this smaller cash award. That cash award is also that's the pre-tax amount, so what you actually get is probably closer to $200. So most folks do opt for the education award benefit, but we do see on occasion folks who choose to go the cash route, and that's very much an option.
And Josh, how long do they have to use that award?
They have 7 years. Thanks, Jesse. That thing is a voucher that sits in their name in the National Service Trust, and then they can use it either to pay down student loan debt if they're a current college student, or to pay future tuition costs. So they have a couple of options for it. And our network of campuses also, about 2/3 of them match to some extent that education award. So if these are incoming freshmen, if you recruit a graduating high school senior, they can have close to $2,500 of value coming into their first year of college if they're planning to attend a Montana institution. And our staff will let them know about that during their orientation.
And can they, can this happen multiple years in a row? So can they come back next summer and then earn another education award for the following year?
Good question. They can. A single individual can do multiple terms of AmeriCorps service. I can't remember the exact number, but I think it is the equivalent to 2 full-time, full-year placements. So if somebody has already served with you and they're concerned that they've used up their one shot of the AmeriCorps, let us know and we will examine if that is the case. But certainly a person can do multiple part-time AmeriCorps service terms, I think up to 5 or 6. So yeah, that's a great question.
And so I think, Burkett, I'm thinking of you specifically. If you're working with a young person who's graduated from your program that could use an ongoing education stipend, this could be a really good way for them to afford college. And then as far as tips or the formal process for identifying a campus partner, so I know that you currently have, Burkett, a relationship with the University of Montana regarding some research that I believe can count as your partnership. The other thing that you could do is work with Flathead Valley Community College to help identify somebody to serve with you. So if you just know a staff member or faculty member at Flathead Valley Community College that could help you either get into a classroom or talk to students, for the summer in particular, it's that partnership can be just supporting recruitment. If you don't know anybody on campus there, we have relationships with folks on all of the campuses, and so we're happy to connect you with somebody there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great question. Feel free to email us if you don't know where to start, and we can make a referral or an introduction via email. And our campuses are great for kind of having, we have an advisory committee, and these folks make themselves very available both for kind of starting a process of referrals or perhaps helping with volunteer recruitment themselves. We have a full page of what the member benefits are, and it's this URL here via the service opportunities link on mtcompact.org, and it lists those out, and we will post this orientation onto YouTube if you want to check it out again, or just let us know if you're having trouble finding benefits information, and we're happy to shoot that over to you. And we also do 2 trainings, one that's an orientation front end, welcome to service, and then a close of service where we kind of talk about all these things like the education award match and so forth. So there's a little bit of professional development, although those largely are pretty practical kind of onboarding and then offboarding kind of at the back end of service. But we do work in a little bit of professional development there as well. Some of the things summer associates do not receive that full-time, full-year people get are healthcare, life insurance, a child care allowance, or relocation for service. So think these all go toward kind of the importance of thinking about local recruitment for housing. We also, through the program, we don't offer housing.
If you have a relationship with a campus that they're willing to provide dorm housing or something on your end for the summer, you're welcome to do that. Some of our Upward Bound programs across the state have housing available, but it's not part of something that we do from our end.
So to submit an application, we use Submittable so that the process is as streamlined as possible. It's a web-based platform that allows us to give you feedback through this same form, and it's a pretty nice, smooth thing, regardless of what computer you use. We've run in the past into things like folks who worked with a Mac and our wonky PDF application did not work on their machine and so forth. So we've moved everything over to a web-driven application that is hosted by Submittable. So this is up on the VISTA homepage on MT Compact, and I'll kind of go out and navigate to it so that folks can kind of see here. Let me see here. Main screen. I think you can see my desktop now, I hope. Share. So we're going to go to mtcompact.org, go up to initiatives here, click that little green arrow, MTCC Vista, and then over on this right side it says host a summer Vista. And when you click on that, you kind of get this. This is the screen that pops up. It walks through the steps. So here's the MOU and the attachments that we need you to print and sign and then upload with your application. Here's the submittable link. Everybody needs to, applicants will need to register so that you have an account with Submittable, and that's a free thing, but it is the first step in the submittable process. And then you click here to begin that application. And folks who have done it, I hope I'm being honest when I say I don't think it's an onerous or particularly long thing. We ask for the specific details that we need and nothing more. So it just looks like this. Details about organization and site supervisor, campus partner, quick description of the organization, any other member organizations, programming area, project description, what is the summer associate going to do? How is this related to poverty? And Jesse and I are both available to help with technical assistance on any of these. If you're like, oh man, I'm stumped today. This doesn't really, I'm not seeing it. Give us a call before you give up. Community need the project will address, and feel free if you've got kind of existing grant applications or things that you can kind of reuse for this. We don't need you to be reinventing the wheel. The priority population that the project will serve, other priority populations that are not included in this list up here, some questions about travel related to it, and then there's the assignment description, which kind of just is the overarching work plan for the 10-week position. And that goes through objectives and then activities that roll up to those objectives.
If you have, so like Jamie, who has hosted Summer Vistas in the past, essentially if you are doing the same project, you know that you're providing meals to kids in the community and it's the same project, you're welcome to go back to your past applications and sort of resubmit, not resubmit, but copy and
Recycle,
paste
yeah.
The information from past years.
Definitely. And then the last little portion here is about measuring success, like the kind of indicators of impact that you see. So above are the performance measure areas, like the number of students that will complete the program, the number of mentor matches that are sustained, the number of children who complete early childhood ed programs, the number of students who start an education program supported by a summer member or other. And under other, you can, so this is the education measure. If there's another education focus area that you want to list, you list it here. And we get into veterans. And then finally, this C section is for either meal sites or opioid programming. And then at the very bottom, once you've kind of put that in there, you click submit. So I think one of the heavier parts of this is thinking about, okay, for a 10-week position, how much data do you want us to collect? What is all this stuff about? And we're pretty realistic that we just need some head counts in terms of folks that are starting, an enrichment program, if it's summer youth programming, or folks that are, what are the targets that you're looking for providing nutritious meals to young people in the summertime, and it's a head count kind of thing. We're not looking for independent research to occur on the efficacy of your summer associate VISTA, but we do need some data that we can use to justify the outlay of federal monies and appreciate when we get it in a timely fashion. Questions on the application or any of the kind of tracking of impact? And this can be reused for other things that you do. If you're collecting, hopefully you're collecting data on impact for the work you plan to do in the summer, and we don't need it to be a separate thing for the summer associate person, but it can be just sharing it with us and letting us know how the summer associate has supported this work that the organization has undertaken. Okay, back to the PowerPoint here. Am I still sharing this thing? I think so. Let me know if you can't see the screen there. So some application tips. In the project description, please highlight the anti-poverty focus. Talk about how this supports people from low-income or poverty backgrounds. In terms of the assessment, talk about what statistics or kind of data backs up this work. We work very closely with the funder to justify individually the projects that we put forth, and the more we've got from you in terms of, in Great Falls, we estimate that X number of young people don't have access to healthy meals, or what do you kind of use to drive your work? We just look for folks to share that. In terms of the performance measures, we really encourage you to be as realistic as possible. Don't shoot for the moon, but think about what have we done in the past and what's reasonable for the resources that we have to deploy to this. And then for that assignment description, these are objectives and activities that are for the member to complete. So these really should be realistic things that you want your summer associate person to be involved with. If it's directly supporting, programs that you run, be clear in that assignment description that they will be directly leading programs. If it's more of a, behind the scenes support role for frontline staff, be clear about that. They get assigned this VISTA assignment description, so we want that thing to reflect reality as much as possible. The tie up again to that anti-poverty focus or that education or veteran support should play out in those activities. The funder definitely looks to see, okay, if you said that you estimate that this number of people are food insecure in the community, how do the activities reflect doing something about that? So those things should tie together. So not finally exactly, but the expectations that we have of you, our partners, who are the host sites for these members, first of all, are to do that local recruitment, then to supervise and support those summer associates and help them have a successful term of service. 10 weeks can either be super fast and amazing, or a slog. And I think setting up for success and really giving these people what they need front end to be successful is the way we'd like to see it. Ensure that the summer associate has completed all the reporting requirements that we place on them by the assigned deadlines. This actually is not, this sounds like a multiple, like a big ask, but it's more, there is a monthly report on impact, and if a member has come in June, they'll be required to do a June report, and when they serve through July, they'll need to do a July one, and they'll need to do a final one for their impact in August. So it's just 3, and that's driven by the member themselves. And then, of course, paying the host site participation fees helps us operate the program and pay all the members that we place around the state. So yeah, monthly reporting. We use a Google form for this. The members themselves are responsible for it. Locally, you need to keep an activity log that just shows that the member has been on the job and active, and kind of briefly what they've spent their day at. And the member can do that, and then you will need to sign off as the host site supervisor. And then at the end of term, we need an impact report that just summarizes the big impacts of that member's service, whether it was X number of beneficiaries or the launch of a program that did a certain thing. We just want to hear clearly what the benefit was. So the training portion of member service, on their first day, they will have an orientation with our staff. We typically use this same format of Zoom because we have people placed around the state and realize that their time is kind of at a premium. So unless they're in Missoula, we certainly make space for folks to come in and be trained in person, placed in Missoula, but then we just open up the rest of the seats to a Zoom meeting that we use, and we put out there kind of all the expectations of service, the terms, conditions, and benefits. We talk about the reporting requirements and the need for logging their activity and so forth. And then we get them sworn in, which is kind of the universal part of national service that makes them official. So timeline for getting this done. Applications are due March 1st, and we will kind of accept them earlier, certainly if you kind of have a good idea of what you want to get done, but March 1st is our deadline. We will do clarification with you all kind of in that first half of March, so we'll ask questions about anything that we need additional information on, or stuff that maybe doesn't jive with what the funding's about. We'll want to talk with you about that. And in some cases, we will have nothing to say, especially if you've done this in the past and know what the program is about. We probably won't have much to ask about, but that is kind of that window. We then will open up the floodgates on candidate recruitment officially on March 16th. But like I say, there's no wrong time to start this. And I think starting to think about early and brainstorm with your staff locally about who do we know who'd make a great VISTA this summer, is a great conversation to get going as soon as possible. In mid-May, we close up recruitment, and then we do a host site prep webinar also in mid-May, just so that you are we're on the same page and getting you set up for success with your members. And then we do the orientation for Summer Associates right at the beginning of June on their first day of service. So this says the first. We think the date is probably the 3rd, but there's still some question around the, this hasn't been formalized yet. So it'll be at some point in early June, and we will share that as soon as we have it official. Questions? We are here to help, and here is my contact information here at Campus Compact, as well as the link for the application.
And you all know how to get a hold of me.
Jesse Lee at MT Compact. Questions or things that we should have covered and didn't? I know that's a lot of information to digest all at once, and I appreciate you going through it with us. We're very excited to have you coming on board or coming back to host a Summer Vista, and look forward to hearing from you as you kind of dive into this. Thanks, Birgit.
Down to see what's joined.
Yeah, thank you all. We will, I just had muted us.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're here and we're happy to answer questions, and please don't hesitate to get a hold of us. We'll see you soon.